we're getting to the end of the day. I think we need to shake. So shake your hands. All right, so I can twist my hand quite easily. Could you twist your shoulder? Give it a go. Could you twist your leg where you're sitting? What does it mean to twist your spine if you're sitting? What does it mean to twist your head? Yeah, so there are many different types of twists. There are many different ways of twisting. And for me, what dance can do is to open up new ways of thinking about movement, what dance can look like, what dance can convey, but also who should dance. The images that we see on the main stages, we see on TV, we see on the billboards, in the magazines, those images are really important and make a massive influence to who we think could dance and what they could do. When asked to do this talk about the evolution of the arts, I looked up the definition of evolution on Wikipedia, source of all knowledge. And the one, of course, for me, the one bit that stood out was the word diversity. I work with the dance company. I'm the artistic director of a dance company that works with disabled and non-disabled dancers. And I truly believe that that diversity in dance completely enriches the art form and makes the dance much more influential in having an impact on social change, as well as on the change of the arts themselves. So this idea that evolution needs diversity to get somewhere, that evolution, that the act of diversity, the plenitude of diversity is what makes evolution happen. For me, it made complete sense when I thought about that. So there's me, a non-disabled dancer, in the company of disabled and non-disabled dancers for 7 years before I got the job as the director of it, to then meet all these amazing non-disabled dancers, non-disabled people that are interested in why it makes sense for them to be engaging in a company that looks at diversity and that engages with each other, where the focus becomes on the ability and not on the disability, and rather becomes on the diverse abilities and how that's exciting in order to move our company forwards, but in general, to try to make you and you and you and you and you think differently about dance. It's really important, the images, because I think that's where we get so much information from. Yes, we have the moving image, we have the live image on stage, but that image doesn't get to everybody. The fixed, the still image gets to many more people. And so that image will help me perceive what is the norm. Is the norm in our society the diversity, or is it the lack of diversity? Candoco Dance Company was started in 1991. The vision was of putting disabled and non-disabled dancers together. So the founders, Celeste Dandeker and Adam Benjamin, came together to figure out what did it mean for Celeste, who used a wheelchair, to dance together with Adam that didn't use a wheelchair. So just the other day, Celeste went through the whole story of how it all started and how it all happened. She just basically said, we just wanted to figure it out. We just wanted to start with what did movement mean? What was our excitement about moving? And what had to change? Or did anything have to change when I used a chair and he didn't? When we tried partnering work, when we tried spins, when we tried twists and turns, what changed? It was exciting because it allowed different new ways of moving to come forwards. And I think what was then exciting was that they brought in very early professional choreographers to work with the company. So the mainstream that didn't necessarily every day have disabled dancers in their studios, the other dance companies, the other people thinking about dance, got invited to come in and practically work out, what does that mean for me? How do I create my artistic vision through a dancer that has one leg, together with another dancer that has two legs? So they can't all look the same, and I can't ask them all to do the same thing. And that was inherently, I think, what helped make art move forwards. Pioneers, Candoco was a pioneer in the same way as Grey Eye was a pioneer. Stopgap came later as another dance company works with disabled, non-disabled dancers in the UK. There was something about pioneering that's quite important to the arts. So in dance, Martha Graham, for example, completely rebelled against this tradition of ballet. So she went away from the symmetry, the uprightness, the beauty of ballet to make earthbound, really quite strong, contractual emotions. In the way the game often is used as the sort of stereotypical joke of contemporary dance. But if you look it up, you'll find that it's very expressive. And again, it was this whole thing that actually it's the people that rebel against what was before, that's what shifts the arts form forward. So I think the fast tracking happens especially then in an inclusive dance company or in an arts setting that allows for the diversity, the different bodies to be part of it, because that difference means that we don't make the same choices, we don't come up with the same solutions, and the difference creates something that might be more intriguing, more thought-provoking, and possibly, hopefully, switches our perceptions a little bit. But for that to happen, I really believe that the work has to be excellent. So when Candoco made the work, it felt like it was just so important that the dancers' skills, the way they moved, how they performed, the production around it all had to be the best it could be. Because if not, what was it? Some kind of community dance that we were then elevating up to the professional level because, why? Because we felt sorry for the disabled dancers? Or I often got the question when I was dancing in the company, what is it like to help the disabled dancers to dance? I'm too selfish. I didn't join a company to work full-time to help someone else. I wanted to find out myself why this was exciting to me. And I trained in a conventional Conservatoire dance, but when I came and joined Candoco, I really fast-tracked my learning and fast-tracked my thought about what dance could be, because I was constantly questioning why I chose to do something, how I would do that together with the other dancers that had one leg or sat in a wheelchair, or was deaf, so I needed to use sign language to communicate. How would we find the beginning of the song together if she couldn't hear the song? Yes, all of those were practical things that constantly made me question what it was that I did. I could come up with new things, and I also developed my way of talking about it, so that more people could take part in that discussion and debate about why I felt it was necessary for change to happen, not just within dance, but also beyond. The latest work we have at the moment is by a visual artist. Why would we have a visual artist come in to work with a dance company? Because again, we in the company feel like it's important for us to challenge what is movement, what is dance, and does it always have to be created and made by someone who comes from a dance background? Is it quite exciting actually to bring the cross-cultural, the cross-art collaborations in, so that we get a different point of view, we get a different question, we get a different starting point? What Attain Patel's work, let's talk about this, brings up is the fact that actually, even now, 23 years on, we need to talk about some of these things. So we can do it implicitly by showing you a beautiful dance performance, by showing you the images, by kind of getting you to think about what your perception is, but actually there's some real practical things we need to talk about. Some of those things are the training opportunities for disabled dancers. Legislation in the UK says that all higher education is accessible for all, or reasonable adjustments must be made to make it accessible. Still, there are not many disabled dancers that go through any higher education in the UK, partly due to barriers that are practical and partly due to barriers that are attitudinal about what do we really truly perceive dance to be. Okay, so maybe it's fine that a dance company can do it, but can you go through the professional training to get there? Or do you have to go through a non-traditional route? Funding, we already talked about funding with regard to the arts in general and what happens when the cuts come in and it's the first thing to go. Well, actually recently, since 2012 and the Paralympics, the Olympics, there has been more focus on trying to support more deaf and disabled artists. So a company like Candoco that's been going for 20 years have now spawned quite a few independent artists that have been through the company to actually go off and do their own work, and they're getting public funding to support that work. That public funding is important. That puts value from society, by society, onto something that could potentially help change, help make us consider what art could look like. Showing the work at the Sadler's Wells stage in London, which is like the biggest stage for dance at the moment. For Candoco to go in there next year with a cast of 20 people, disabled and non-disabled, to really go out to the mainstream in London is exciting. And at the same time going off to Armenia or Vietnam or Brazil to show the work, again, is really important because it's hitting people that didn't expect it. And so to put it in the big theatres with 2,000 seats rather than in the small studio theatre is really important. To engage with the work, now we're facing the sort of revolution of digital. So we can actually reach so many more people. So our website gets, 40,000 hits in a year? That's probably not that many for many other people. But actually the fact that the niche of contemporary dance and the even smaller niche of inclusive dance gets that further out to people is amazing. And it means that the people that probably have a problem with access, possibly to get to the theatre, either to get into the theatre or the transport, has a chance to experience it in their own home. And the idea could be born. The ambition or the inspiration for something to change from within and to go after it and get it could happen. That's really exciting for me. So Candoco works with people from young ages through to professional artists. We engage with many professional choreographers that are in the mainstream, and by working with them, changing their perception, changing their thinking about how they are developing their art form. The dancers on stage, the way they look, the way they move, that continually, I think, really throws people, opens their eyes, makes them go, oh, I didn't expect that. That's exciting. That's what I think it should do. I wanted just to do a quick sort of milestone and also make it personal. So the dancer in the picture, Annie Hanauer. In 1991, Candoco had founded. She was 4 years old. So actually, through her whole dancing life, she knew that there was a company that employed professionally dancers with and without disabilities. She knew that's what she wanted after she had fought her way through university in America. So she went for it and she did her training. She had a prosthetic arm. Could say possibly didn't make so much difference to what she did, but for a dance college, it was quite a major change to the aesthetic of the bodies they had there. We picked up Annie the moment she came out of college because it was very exciting for us to have a dancer that had actually trained professionally through a dance course. And her first show was in Beijing at the handover ceremony for the London Olympics, at the Beijing handover ceremony. So she sort of quietly said to us as she walked through the big corridor to get out in the stadium, you know that this is my kind of first show outside of university. And we're just about to go into the stadium with millions of people watching. And again, for me, that's really exciting. Think about the potential for the exposing both her, but exposing dance, inclusive dance, to such a wide audience. Beijing handover ceremony in 2008, when London went there to show what they were going to do in 2012, it was the first time ever that a disabled dancer had been part of the Olympic closing ceremony. That's quite major. In 2012, until that time, there had not been a disabled dancer. That kind of diversity hadn't been shown on such a global level. 2012, as we have mentioned, was an amazing moment for Britain. Britain got that because Britain is at the forefront of diversity in the arts. It really, truly is. When we tour around the world with Candoco, there are still the kind of attitudes that might have been in the UK 20, 30 years ago in terms of, is it possible? Is it allowed? How can you do that? But very quickly, as a fast tracking of their knowledge and learning is that they are experiencing the sensation of seeing a great piece of art in front of them by disabled and non-disabled dancers. So that's exciting. That's what the UK has created. And it is also what, at the moment, it is in a process of possibly reversing. With the whole crisis around access to work, where they're taking away what's needed, what we have used in the last 20 years of working in Candoco, of allowing disabled dancers the opportunity to do their job, to just be able to do what they do, the talent that they have to show that, rather than have to worry about how they were going to get there, or how they were going to get their food, or how they were going to get the information with the signer. That is about to be taken away. That's quite scary to think that we might completely be reversing everything that's been built up. And that fast-tracking of evolution of the arts that dance has had made possible, because it has opened up itself for the diversity of disabled and non-disabled dancers together. Again, images, I think, are just very important. They can speak a lot. I think that we can make a change in society through the arts. I think some of the words you see on the screen, can make you think about that. But I think ultimately, it still has to come back to, can there be a change in positive perception? Can there be something about how it ignites our ambition and our relationship to what we see? Can art make that change? Can diversity help that change both fast track but also be so much richer? I think it does. Embrace it. Thank you.